everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Happy Hour in Houses with Jess and Kel. And we're really excited to have a super special couple of guests with us today.
Yes, these are our favorite local lenders, Danny and Brittany with the Gilbert Group. So we are so excited to pick their brains today on all things lending.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you guys so much for being here. The Gilbert Group, we're excited.
Yes.
And I think the first thing we wanted to ask you guys is kind of just diving right in. If we have a first-time home buyer or someone that's not familiar with the process, could you kind of explain sort of how the process works and what you might recommend for them?
Absolutely. Well, it's definitely about starting a good relationship and making sure that we're one big team. So when you introduce us to a first-time home buyer, we like to open up those lines of communication with them and make sure that they're fully understanding the process, which can be a lot sometimes.
Yes,
So,
sure.
yeah. So the first phone call, I always like to start with a phone call and kind of understand what their goals are. It's not just a transaction to us. We want to make sure that we're understanding exactly where they are in the process and what their goals are for not just this house, but the future as well.
Sure.
Because that can help us to determine what kind of loan they're going to do, how much they want to put down, or those things like that. So.
Right. I know we both worked with you guys quite a lot and absolutely think that your upfront preparation of everything is just so essential to everybody sort of having a good experience and knowing what's expected of them and kind of what the next steps are.
Yeah, maybe give us an idea of some of the information or things that maybe you would ask a first-time home buyer to maybe have prepared to get out to you guys.
And that's the funny part. We like to let them know that we're a pain in the butt up front.
Yes.
Because there is a difference between a pre-qual and a pre-approval.
Yes.
I know you guys as seasoned realtors, you like to see a pre-approval versus a pre-qualification.
Yeah.
Pre-qualification, you can literally just state your credit, what it could potentially be, and what your income is. That means I can go in and say, hey, to a bank, I have 850 credit score and I make $1 million a year.
Yeah.
They'll rate your pre-qualification for a $5 million home, right? Then when they get down in the meat and bones, you make $100,000 on paper and your credit's a 650.
Yeah.
So that
a big difference.
A huge difference, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So what we do, we basically underwrite up front. We look at a pre-approval so that we actually run a credit, your credit score, and we do look at a soft review up front. We do that just because we don't want a hard inquiry until we actually go under contract. So that helps the borrowers out.
Yeah.
Then we take a look at your income documents. We look at assets. We look at all the things, that are needed to actually get into underwriting. So that's the biggest part that we do. And we let them know. We're very transparent with the entire process. We like to make sure that they understand why we're asking what we're asking.
Sure.
Right.
Well, I know you guys are super quick too. Last night I was writing. Market's definitely picking up a little bit, guys. So I was writing some offers last night. But anyway, just sent you a buyer last night. You were able to, have a conversation with them and get essentially a pre-approval over to me last night, which is fantastic.
That may have been the quickest one I did.
Yeah, I was
so that was literally like a 20-minute pre-approval.
Yeah,
so,
not that we want that to happen all the time, but it's nice to know that, in this business, sometimes
they're available.
They're super quick and they're on it, so we appreciate that.
Exactly.
Well, and that brings up a great point too, is that, a lot of the mistakes that first-time home buyers make is that they're waiting until the last minute to get pre-approved. So I don't want to search for a house until May. Well, May's around the corner, and we need to make sure that up front that you have all your ducks in a row so that when May comes, you're ready with that pre-approval letter, and we're not then scrambling to collect documents and make sure that you really do qualify for this home that you want.
Absolutely.
So I just had someone yesterday, we did the same thing, and she was hesitant. Well, I don't want my credit score pulled yet, and my funds have to season in the bank. And I said, well, let's get a game plan together. It might take a month to do all those things, but at least you're going to know where you're going, right?
Yeah,
you have some direction, and we can, get you pre-approved and say, okay, you can make an offer on this date as soon as your funds are seasoned, or when you're ready to pull your credit score. I just paid off credit cards. I want my score to increase before then. We know those kind of things. So it's the sooner the better. Even if you're wanting to buy next year, let's get a base starting point so we know where we're going.
Well, there's nothing worse than taking a buyer out and them falling in love with a house that is over budget, and now they're like, oh my God, you know what I mean? So it's better to just know those things. And I know one of the things I, tell some of my buyers that are getting started is that, do the soft pull. You guys are obviously going to have to pull the credit, when after you go under contract, but at least you have a really good idea at that point. So, because sometimes people do get freaked out about having their credit pulled and it's going to affect their score and blah, blah, blah. But
well, especially if you're not ready to purchase yet, say you're 2-3 months out, you don't want to pull your credit now and do a hard inquiry on there because it's going to stick on your score. You know, it's going to drop it. So you want to make sure that you're ready to go. So we've been doing that for a while now, just doing the soft pulls, and it seems to really be advantageous.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing, setting a benchmark, you know, where they want to be from a payment standpoint. And then that way we can let you guys know, hey, like they kind of want to be here. So this is going to work with a $300,000 home versus a $400,000 home.
Exactly.
You know? So yeah, that's the biggest thing. We have the conversation with them up front.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
And that goes back into what I said originally about strategy and making sure that we're understanding where they are and where they want to be. You know, there's ways right now in this market, it's an interesting one, you know, and it's still a buyer's market right now, which is a huge selling point for them to jump in now before it becomes a seller's market. And the reason for that is as soon as rates start to come down a little bit, we're going to see the demand increase. We're going to see probably purchase or selling prices go up a little bit too.
Yeah.
But that demand is going to be there where you're going to have multiple offer situations again, like we did a couple years back.
Yeah.
So right now they have the upper hand. The buyers do. They have the ability to ask for seller concessions to pay for some of their closing costs, maybe come down in price a little bit. There's tons of programs out there to help them have a lower payment for the first couple years.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of strategies that we can discuss with them.
Awesome.
And that's why we like to have that phone call. There's nothing worse than just here, fill out my app and I'll give you an answer.
Yeah.
That's not what we do, right? This
Right.
is a full communication. This is a relationship that we want to have for years to come and really understand what their goals are.
That's
Exactly. And that's kind of, I think, what I've experienced with you guys, and I know Jessica has too, in the sense that I think some buyers come to it thinking it's either a yes or a no or that type of thing. But you guys are also strategic in the sense that if somebody does have an issue with their credit or if somebody has like a minor blip or something, you guys can recommend strategies for them to maybe correct those things and get themselves in a better financial position ultimately, right? Which we really love about you guys.
Yes, and even it could be a fault of mine. Like I will find the yes. I'm like a honey badger. Like I'm like there's a loan here. Like you know
that. Yeah.
So I will search and I will find a way to make something work. You know, it might not be next week, but it might be in a month. It might be in 2 months.
Right.
But we will find a yes.
That's one of my favorite things about you guys, though. You are creative, like out of the box thinkers. You know what I mean? Because
Yes,
you get some people that are just like, I don't know, it just doesn't work. But you guys are like, wait a minute. I know we've had a lot of those conversations. Wait a minute, and then we can maybe do this. And so, yeah, definitely problem solvers and thinking, you know, just getting creative. And
I think it's hard for people to appreciate a good lending experience until they've had a bad one.
Yeah,
and then when something bad, it just entirely affects everyone from the agents to the lender to the title company. It just kind of throws everything out of whack. And I think people don't understand that until they've had a really good experience and are like, oh, that wasn't as hard as I thought it would be.
I think a lot of our past experiences in purchasing homes and being a first-time home buyer at one point and going through the process and having those bad experiences or not so great experiences have really helped us in our careers, I know, to know what the buyer needs and wants.
Right.
So that's been a huge point for us to make sure that we're not doing those things that we were like terrified of when we were going through the process.
Yeah,
right.
Sure. It can be intimidating.
Yeah,
sure.
It can be.
Well, and that's our biggest thing, especially with first-time home buyers, like ask all the questions. Like literally ask. It doesn't matter if you think it's dumb, whatever, ask all the questions.
Yeah.
You know? And we try to spell it out as much in layman's terms as possible. Because if they don't ask the questions, then they do something that they shouldn't have done. I mean, we try to
don't
be
buy
upfront.
a car.
Oh, right.
Yeah, all the things, right?
Yeah,
And we do. We go
Yeah.
over that with them.
Right.
But we do have buyers like, well, we feel like we're bothering you. And we're like, no, not at all. Like, this is what we do. This is what we're passionate about, you know? So at the end of the day, we're the cliche. We're available 24/7. But we will, you know, again, no questions a dumb question.
Yeah.
Right. We'll try to help you figure it out.
Well, I
That's
love
great.
that. So, guys, they are local here. Well, you service all of Florida and other places.
Other states as
Yeah,
well.
but we're going to focus on Florida today. But we're going to have all of their information, so you know, social media, and of course their company information. So if you are looking for an awesome local lender, I know that in my experiences, you know, it does make a difference when you're turning in an offer. When you have a local lender compared to like a Rocket or somebody, like you're probably not going to get your offer accepted.
Right.
But if you're using a trusted local lender that other agents in the industry are, familiar with, you have a way better chance of getting your offer because they know that, there's very good likelihood that you're actually going to get to the closing table, and that's what that's all about, right?
Absolutely,
So-
making the seller comfortable. Yeah.
Awesome, but we're going to have all of their information at the bottom of the screen, so you guys can reach out to them. But thanks, guys.
Hey, thanks for
Thank
having
you
us.
guys.
Yay. Absolutely. Thanks.